Sorry, guys, you kind of busted me there. I was trying to get one more cup of coffee before we started. Good morning. One more sip of coffee. It is, if I yawn during this, I apologize. I seriously do. And I know I said don't apologize in a couple of videos ago, but yesterday was an insane day. I'm getting ready to tell you about it. But I had some amazing conversations that happened yesterday. And so I couldn't sleep last night because I was so inspired by the opportunities to coach more people, reach more people, amazing partnerships. So I need a coffee drip this morning because I couldn't sleep. So now I want to go lay my head down. But we're going to do this morning because I want to actually share part of the conversation yesterday. Now, I can't go into all the details because the podcast interview hasn't been released yet, so I can't tell you all of it. But I did 2 amazing interviews yesterday, met some incredible, oh my gosh, like new best friend kind of people. And one of the conversations I had yesterday was with a top mindset performance coach who coaches pro athletes. I don't know that I realized that about him before I jumped on the interview, but we had an amazing, and I'm pretty sure he said pro golfers, including Tiger, because we talked a lot about golf. We talked a lot about golf on our interview, but he talked about how he coaches pro athletes. And again, I can't give you all the information because it was a phenomenal conversation. When it comes out, I'll post it. But we talked about the mindset of top professional athletes, guys. And one of the themes that came out of that conversation, again, I can't give you all the details of it, but one of the themes that came out of that conversation are the commonalities between you, the people I coach, and the top athletes in the world that he coaches, including, like I said, Tiger, and I think some others, because we kept talking about different sports. But we talked about the commonalities that you share with top athletes. And that mindset conversation of how your mindset is the same as the pro athletes, but maybe they're making different choices than you're making, really, really resonated with me yesterday. And so I want to bring it back to a post that I did this week about mindset. And, oh, the sun's in my glasses. Sorry. I posted this. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I'm tired. I posted this picture a day or 2 ago on all my socials. Who do you see in the mirror? Who do you see? And I'm just going to bring up my iPad because I want you to see, because I'm going to come back to the Tiger story in just a moment. But this was the post, and I'm just going to put it on screen so you guys can see it. But the post is, who do you see in the mirror? The greatest enemy you will face on your heroic journey is the one who stares back at you in the mirror. You can be your biggest cheerleader, or you can be your own worst enemy. But you can't be both. So to achieve any amount of success in your life and career, you must learn how to champion yourself. When you champion yourself and learn what you bring to the table that no one else can, you silence your inner critic. So, who do you see in the mirror? Do you see a champion and a cheerleader? Or do you see the critic? The choice is yours, and you can see it on the screen. And you can see the hashtags: champion, journey, self-awareness, power, success mindset. And my conversation yesterday about the commonalities of this mindset of who you see in the mirror between you and top pro athletes blew me away yesterday, because we talked about the choices that you make. When a pro athlete misses a golf shot, or they don't perform the way they want, they don't criticize themselves. Yeah, they have a bad day, but they just go to the next shot and do it over again and get back in the right mindset and regain that confidence that they may have lost on that last shot. And I say that to you this morning because that post that I posted about your mindset and who you see in the mirror, wow. wow, the comments that you've sent me both publicly on social media, but more importantly, privately, man, you guys have told me, some of you, listen, some of you are cheerleaders. Some of you have the mindset, success, growth, champion yourself mindset. Like you're on it. I mean, you are on it every single day. And I love your comments about who you see in the mirror. And I put this quote on the screen from that post because you guys were commenting about this quote that you don't see your enemy in the mirror, but you see somebody who is making it happen and you're accomplishing your dreams every single day. And I loved your comments. There are those of you who don't see a cheerleader or a champion in the mirror every day. There are those of you who are your own worst enemy, like this quote says. There are some of you who said to me on social media and in private comments that you are your biggest critic. One of you said you always have been since you were a child. You've always criticized yourself. And again, there's a very powerful story I so want to tell you this morning that's in the podcast interview. Like I said, I'll post it when it comes out, about someone who was reprimanded when they were a child. And they said to the guy who was interviewing me, the day that they were reprimanded as a child is the day they lost their voice. And you'll hear the story when I post the interview. Guys, that's a choice. When you look in the mirror in the morning, if you see a critic instead of a cheerleader, if you've lost your voice because of something that's happened in your life, it's time to get it back. I appreciate the honesty of you all coming with this, responding to this quote, responding to that post. I appreciate that you recognize your inner critic. But the question I pointed to yesterday on the interview about mindset, and the question I'm asking you this morning, and I am not going a half an hour today because I'm going to go lay my head down when this is over. But it's a simple question this morning. Who do you see in the mirror? Do you see somebody who shares the same mindset as a pro athlete, as I talked about on that video yesterday? Somebody who shows up every morning, who gets up and says, today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be an awesome day. Someone who sets a positive intention for the day. Are you the cheerleader and the person who's ready to go champion themselves every single day? Or are you the person who doesn't like looking in the mirror because you don't like what you see? More importantly, you don't like who you see. I know that's a challenging question. Listen, hear me out. I know that is a challenging question because you told me in your comments, and you may say, look, why are you talking about this again? You posted it the other day. I'm bringing it forward because one, it was such a powerful mindset conversation yesterday, and I was blown away when the person I was talking to said that you share the same mindset commonalities as a pro athlete, but we all make different choices and that mindset shows up differently. But I also want to bring this forward again this morning because some of you admitted you're your own worst critic, but you didn't give me the solution as to how you're going to fix it. So I'm challenging you this morning. You can go back and look at that. I don't know, what day was it? One day ago. Okay, so there you go. I don't know, what is today? Thursday? So I posted it maybe Wednesday. You have a choice to make this morning, and it's a very simple one. Who do you want to see in the mirror? Who? And I'm going to take it one step further and ask you, where is the sense of urgency about your life? And that's a whole other video, and I'm getting ready to get fired up, which I'm going to try not to do. Guys, where is the sense of urgency about your life? About the choices you make, about who you choose to be? And look, I am not going to sit here and tell you the person who said they lost their voice when they were a child and they never got it back. I'm not going to tell you their trauma or their experience is not real. It absolutely is. And I can't wait for you to hear that story on the podcast. But what I'm going to say is, if you were like that person and you see someone in the mirror in the mornings and you don't like who you see, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You've heard my story. You've heard all of us in the comments who are here this morning. I see comments coming in, but also those of us, who are on these lives, who join me every Monday and Thursday. You see the comments in the chat. We've all said we all have those moments where we don't like who we see. We all have those moments where we're at our lowest of our lows. I've been there. You've heard my story. You've heard me talk about it. been at the lowest of the lows and didn't know how I was getting out of that point. But you got to make the choice to turn your critic into your own best cheerleader. And you do that, it all starts with self-belief, which is why I brought the Tiger Woods kind of pro golf top athlete coach story to you this morning, because we had this. I talked about the mindset formula on Monday. I talked about it last week. The mindset formula starts with self-belief. And the self-belief is, who do you see in the mirror? Who do you see? So I'm not going to drone on and on this morning. I want you to, and I'm going to go back. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Oh, there we go. Can you see it? There you go. I want you to answer this question. Who do you see? Oh, I'm on the wrong camera. Sorry. I want you to answer this question. Who do you see? You don't have to do it publicly. If you do, I'll respond, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. A lot of you guys reach out on LinkedIn, but where is it? Right there, connect.cicely.me. I mean, you can reach out to me anytime. I just need you to answer that question. The people I work with every day, which is why we were talking about the people I coach on the interview yesterday, we answer that question. We answer that question. It's the very first thing we do in the coaching program, because if you don't see the cheerleader and the champion who's ready to talk about your value and what differentiates you from other people, if you're not that person, if you're the critic who is absolutely miserable in your life and you making everybody else miserable, then we need to talk about that question. So let me go back to where we were. So that's the question I'm going to leave you with this morning. Actually, I'm not going to leave you with it. One more thought. Let me give you a Tom Brady quote, because I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but since we're on the pro athlete thing this morning, I'm going to give you a Tom Brady quote. His quote of how he keeps himself pumped up after 20 whatever years of playing football. I didn't come this far to only come this far. You want to talk about mindset? You want to talk about who you see in the morning? I didn't come this far to only come this far. So when you say, I don't have anything in common with that guy, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Think of what that coach said to me yesterday, the commonalities between you, the folks I coach, and the top athletes that he coaches. You didn't come this far to only come this far. So where's the sense of urgency about your life? Where's the sense of urgency to silence that critic? And listen, I did a whole video on negative self-talk. I'll link to it below. That was probably 2 or 3 months ago. It all starts with you and the self-belief of who you are and who do you see staring back at you every day. You got to answer that question, because if you're your own obstacle to your success, you can be the best whatever in the world, but if you can't get out of your own way, if you don't seek coaching or help or books or something, if you don't get out of your own way or learn how to do so, man, you're going to miss some amazing opportunities in your life. So, who do you see in that mirror? Who do you see? I'm not going to get preachy. I'm not. I'm going to stop. It's a profound question. It's a profound question, guys. And I appreciate the honesty and vulnerability for those of you who responded, and those of you who haven't. Think about how you'd answer that question today. Who do you see and what's holding you back? All right. I know we have some new folks joining this morning, and I'm sorry, while I pull up the comments, I am going to have a drink of coffee because I might fall asleep. Sorry, I'm slurping coffee because I'm at the end of the cup. Guys, and this is a whole other video, but let me go to my comments in this morning. This is a whole other video. When's the last time you were so excited about something you couldn't sleep? That's a whole other video. I will bring that video to you. And Chris Prouty, who is here this morning, Chris knows I'm the crazy person who gets so excited about serving you all that I can't sleep because I send him random messages on Facebook Messenger. And he's always working when I'm always working, and he's always up late at night. And so, Chris, I did not send you a message last night, but man, I was so pumped up. And thank you for being here. this morning. Chris, this opportunity that came up yesterday is going to bring me to your neck of the woods, my friend. So we're actually going to meet in person for the first time. Hey, Sanja, good morning. You were speaking to me. This is so great. Oh, Sanja, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that this is resonating with you. And I'm listen, and you can see connect.cicely.me. Wow, my hand looks really big. Let me go there. Connect.cicely.me. Sandra, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. Eileen, I'm heading your way as well because you are also in Florida. On your journey to success, you will face many challenges. You will be tested, pushed to your limits, and forced to confront your fears. I love it, Eileen, but the greatest enemy you will ever face is the one that lives inside of you. Guys, screenshot that. Screen capture that. Write that down. I'm going to leave Eileen's comment on the screen. Because you will be tested and you will be pushed to your limit. And man, have I been pushed to my limit a couple of times in my life, in my career. But Eileen's right. You're forced to confront them. And that's why you need the sense of urgency about your life. Sanja says, making that shift from being my own critic to being a cheerleader is a muscle I strengthen every day. Hey, Sanja, and I didn't say that, and I will say that now. You're going to have days where you're not going to be the cheerleader. You're going to have days where you're going to be the critic. But what Sanja's talking about is exactly right. It's a conscious choice for you to work on it. If you wake up and you think, you're not showing up the way you want. You had the critic in the mirror. Maybe you didn't do something right. You didn't do something that you wanted to do. Somebody reached out to me last week and said, I did this and I don't think I showed up as well or did as well as I could. And it's like, okay, are you done beating yourself up now? Because let's talk about all the ways that what you just did helped somebody. And so Sanja's right. It's a conscious choice to work on it every single day, guys. Some days you're not going to get it right. But if you don't have a sense of you don't have a source. If you don't have a source, if you don't have a sense of urgency about your life, then you're only going to find the critic and not the cheerleader. I know. If somebody hits me in the chat over the fact that I can't talk this morning, listen, reach out to me. I'll tell you how freaking exciting these opportunities are that are coming my way and why I couldn't sleep and why I can't find words this morning. Chris Rivera. Chris is the mindset guy, guys. Reach out to Chris. Chris, at some point I got to tell you about this conversation because I thought about you yesterday and I thought, oh man, this is a conversation Chris would like. I think most people have been conditioned to look for their shortcomings and now they have difficulty finding their strengths. Yeah, Chris, again, I so want to tell you about the conversation yesterday. I can't, listen, this was not like any other podcast conversation I've ever had or ever been interviewed on. Actually, I did 2 of them yesterday that were phenomenal. Like, again, 2 of my new best friends. But Chris, we hit on that point of kind of conditioned to look for the shortcomings. Some people have some real trauma in their life. Like I said, there was the person who said they lost their voice when they were a child and they've never gotten it back. There's some people who have some real trauma in their life. You're exactly right. And we are conditioned to go to the negative versus the positive. But you guys know what I say in my social post. Train your mind to see the positive and your focus will find the positive. Train your mind to see the negative and your mind will find the negative. So it is possible to reverse that course. It is possible for you to go from critic to cheerleader, critic to champion. It's possible to make that change. It's going to take some work and you're going to need some help, but it's possible to make that change. I love your authenticity and your commitment to teach us. Well, Sanja said to somebody the other day, and it's kind of my new mantra. My highest inspiration that I have found very late in this life is serving all of you. I am blessed to be able to walk on your journey with you. People that I coach, the stories they share, to walk alongside all of you on your professional and personal journey is the absolute blessing of a lifetime. And I, a year ago, never would have foreseen this, but a year later, I am blown away with inspiration to serve all of you and to help you learn the lessons that I've learned so you don't get in those valleys and you don't get in those deep spots. You don't hit those points and that you get over them. So Sanja, I appreciate that. Chris says, if not you, then who will cheer you on? We have an inspired mission and we must take responsibility to become our own champions. We simply cannot expect others to have the same values as us. Guys, I'm going to leave that one on the screen as well. Screen capture that. If not you, then who will cheer you on? It is Chris, you know, because I think I sent you a copy of the book. That is the very first strategy, first 3 chapters in my book. Pull up your chair, 5 strategies to change the trajectory of your conversation. It is what Chris just said. If you don't cheer yourself on, then who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? That's why I brought you a video a couple weeks ago that hope is not a strategy. If you're sitting there hoping and wishing that somebody's going to cheer you on, hoping and wishing the next opportunity is going to come your way, hoping and wishing, guys, hoping and wishing is not a strategy. Okay, I'm at 21 minutes. I was not going to go that long this morning. Chris, you said it yesterday. We get on here, we're not going to go long, and then we get into it. Where's the sense of urgency about the choices I make? That's a great place to stand. It clears up the clutter. Yeah, Sanja, I think I'm going to do a whole video on the sense of urgency about life, about your life, my life, and where we stand. Frank, good morning. Hey, thanks for joining. I think you're, Frank, you always comment on my posts, but I appreciate you being here live. I'm fortunate that my parents, especially my father, told me I could do anything. Being raised in a loving household, being told I can do anything has helped me to get to where I am today. You know what, Frank, my father, who is a big influence in my life, who I talk a lot about in the book, and I talk about a lot on these videos, my father was the same way. Now, I've learned to be I'm going to hit on Frank's point for a minute. I've learned to be my own best champion because my father was my biggest champion, but also my biggest critic. Now, how's that for a twist and a teaser? My father was in the Marines in Vietnam. Guys, when you're in the military, you are motivated by criticism. They criticize you of what you're not doing well to get you to do better, to get you to be your best. Hey, you didn't run that mile fast enough, go run 2 miles. Hey, you didn't complete that training well enough, well, go do it again. So I talk a lot about my father in the book. I talk a lot about my father, the discipline and the values that he learned in the military being instilled in me. And that is one of the sort of pieces that my brother and I get from my father. Frank is the same. You can do anything, but he also, and you guys, you know the story in the book where I came home one day with a 98 on a test, and I thought I was, listen, I got a 98. And my dad looked at me and said, why wasn't it 100? And I thought, listen, I remember that day. I was so deflated. And he said to me after that, did you try your best? And I thought, dang it, I hate it when he's right. I didn't. I mean, it was an easy test. I got a 98, but he challenged me in that moment. So, Frank, I love that story about your father. Mine is a very powerful influence. I will stop there because I'll get emotional that he's been gone now for 2 years, and every single day, I wish I still had him here as my motivator. And listen, showing up, Shane, thank you for being here this morning. I am very hard on myself, my own worst and best critic, more critic than cheerleader. Well, Shane, you need to reach out to me. By the way, if you guys see the last name, it's no coincidence. Shane is my first cousin who just moved from Memphis to DC, and Shane was in the military. So Shane, you know what I'm talking about. You know how Dad was. So Shane, let's have that conversation. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm so glad you joined me this morning. Thank you for being here. I love that you are a Tom Brady fan. No, not a Tom Brady fan. I respect excellence. I am so not a Tom Brady. Chris, you're messing with me this morning, Chris. You're messing with me. The differences between top performers and average performers are so subtle that people would be blown away by how close to success if they had a simple perception change. 1000%, Chris Rivera. That's exactly right. We get so close and then we give up. We get so close. And you're exactly right. The top performers keep going. Those of us who get tired because we get tired of the journey, we don't make it. On your journey to success, Eileen put that. Thank you, Eileen, for putting that on YouTube as well. Good morning, Lauren. So true. Consciousness feeds every aspect of life. Consciousness feeds every aspect of life. Wow, screen capture that, guys. Frank, amen. Dad pushed me hard, always showed love as he pushed. Yes, love and the pushing, always great to see. Thank you, Frank. Chris, sounds like a fan to me. Chris, I'm gonna, as soon as we're done here, buddy, I'm gonna message you because that's just not even cool. Football season's almost upon us, Chris. All right, y'all, listen, I have gone way longer than I meant to, but yesterday's conversation, and to Chris Rivera's point, and actually everybody said it this morning, the commonalities that you share with the top performers. Maybe you're a top performer. Awesome. Then you're the cheerleader and keep going. Keep going. Be the champion, articulate the value, keep going. But if you're the critic, and a lot of you are, because you tell me when you reach out to me, you told me in that post I posted, guys, if you're the critic, we need to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation because as you've seen from everybody here in the chat this morning, you have the opportunity to change and go from being critic and cheerleader. It's just a matter of how do you do it and are you willing to do it? And I told you on Monday, a lot of people, not a lot, I won't say that. That's an overstatement. There are a couple people who've reached out to me and you get into this work and you stop. You stop. You stop because you don't want to do the work. You don't want to move from self-critic to cheerleader. You don't want to move from self-critic to champion. It's a conscious choice you make, but you got to live with that choice. You got to live with that choice. You can make a change if you choose to. If you don't, the choice is yours. It absolutely is. So